Hi, Manifesting Circle. It is Trudy Sparkles here, and now I am going to fix my hair, and now I'm getting to do the spotlight interviewing, waiting for the gorgeous Olga to come online. And I should have checked how to say Olga's last name because I'm bringing her on camera now, and I reckon if I have a go at saying her, I'll probably butcher it. I'm a Pavlovsky. Is she a Bochareva? A Bochareva? Olga, you're going to have to tell me how
And
to
we are
say your last
back.
name. I
Okay.
know.
Hey,
Facebook can't get enough
gorgeous.
of us.
Yeah,
How do I
Olga
say your last name, gorgeous?
Bochareva, but I mean, it's
Bochareva.
much
Told
easier
you
than
I'd butcher it,
Pavlovsky.
Facebook.
Pavlovsky sounds very Russian too, by the way.
Yes, my grandmother is was Russian.
Ah, that makes
So my
sense.
grandparents, yes. So now we are on a strict timeline. I'm going to start my timer. I've put it on the laptop monitor. So
Fantastic.
let's just get into it because you are fabulous, and I'm so excited
Thank you,
I get
thank
to
you.
interview you today. Now let me introduce this amazing lady. Olga is an EFT and relationships coach. Now, who does she help? She helps conscious women, she helps smart women create thriving, intimate relationships. Now, she can help you to come back after you've had a bad breakup or even a divorce. And what I'm really, really excited about talking with Olga today is because I've known Olga, we've moved in circles for a little while now, but I've watched Olga and not like personally in sessions or anything, but I've watched Olga actually embody her own work from going to being on her own to meeting a man to having the romance. And I've seen that play out in Facebook. And I don't know about you, but I want what she's having. Single lady here. So, Olga, what led you? What led you to this particular niche? Relationships and EFT.
Well, first
Tell
of
us
all,
about that. Share your story.
Trudy, thank you so much for the intro. I was like, I'm really starting to like myself. I think this imposter syndrome is already disappearing.
Let that go.
You got a magic touch. Well, yeah, that's true. But me and Trudy go all the way back. And when we met the first time, I actually was specializing. I'm still was doing EFT. That's still my thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I was working mostly with entrepreneurial fears, rejection, abandonment, all of that juicy stuff. And so, a couple of years after that, I actually went through divorce. And, I've been a single mom for a while, not a long time. And then only 6 months after divorce, I started dating and I met this amazing man. And so we dated for a year and then he proposed. And so we got married about a year ago. We went to Italy. We actually had a really, really juicy romance. And and this was, the beginning of my happily ever after. And so
Yeah.
this is actually yesterday was the year of our wedding anniversary. Now, our marriage was actually in August. We did things out of order, so that's kind of funny. But yeah, that's what happened. So eventually, at some point,
I do
people,
things in order.
right, exactly, that's no fun. At some point, people stopped asking me about business and they started asking me about relationships. And they said, so what? It took you 6 months to go, from divorce to start dating, and then too early. How did that work out? And, how did your kids feel about the new dad? And what was the dating like in the second half of life? Because it's not like you're in your 20s. And so naturally, I started coaching a woman in that area. And I
Yeah.
realized this is something that I'm very much attracted to and very much passionate about and can shut up about that. So, some people collecting stamps, others spoons. I collect happy love stories. So if you would come to
Wow.
yeah, if you would come to my house for a dinner, sooner rather than later, I would ask you, well, how did you guys meet? And where did you guys, how did you guys start dating? Who asked whom? And what was your first date like? And that's all that I can talk about. So I'm
Yeah.
really geek when it comes to love and relationships.
You're
So
you're in the
that's,
right
yeah.
you're in the right space then. You are definitely
Yeah,
doing the right thing.
very much. Yes, ma'am.
That's awesome.
Thank you. Thank you, Trudy.
I love that collect happy love stories. So I would imagine that you've heard a lot of unhappy love stories when you're working with people to get them to the happy love story, obviously.
Yeah.
So how does EFT work in that space? Because I've only ever experienced tapping from a business perspective. I've never really thought to use it around love. So tell us a
Yeah.
little bit about your process. How does it work?
Yeah, absolutely. So EFT is actually a very simple technique. It stands for emotional freedom technique. There's a fast EFT, the modality that I use, very similar to EFT or tapping. It's slightly different, has a bit of different set of techniques. But essentially what EFT is an emotional version of acupressure. So it's not an acupuncture, so no needles required. And it's a way to pattern interrupt. It is like a trance breaker, right? So it gets you back into a present moment. And it's a natural way to release stress from the body. So, for relationships, EFT works in multiple ways, from when you're having a conversation with your loved one and you're getting really heat up and they say, excuse me, I need to use the restroom. And you step in the restroom and you tap, for a few minutes.
Calm down. Don't kill these people. They're relatives. I love them.
Right, let it go. And then, you come
I
back.
tapped so hard once I felt like I gave myself bruises because I was so like,
Yeah, then
probably
you
not
can just
the way
drop
to
the
tap.
points. Right, the points. And it's not a belief system. It's an actual science, right? So there are so the acupressure points, they've been used for 5,000 years, and it's just now coming to our world. Like, so it mostly was the Japan where it was originated, and it used for like to the degree of where people did need an anesthesia, right? So used for surgery. That's how powerful that technique is. But the way I'm using it and we are using it in our world is mostly to deal with emotions. And I actually do call it an anesthesia for emotions because, people much rather, feel emotional pain than physical pain. I mean, the other way around, physical pain than emotional pain, because you can go get a pill for physical pain. Now, emotional pill hurts like hell.
It's hard to run away from the emotions.
And I tried
unless
that.
You want to numb them with alcohol.
You can try alcohol, you can try
good.
sleeping pills and stuff, and it works really little to none. It usually does make things worse, right? Because then you create addictions and on top of your already existing problems. And so what I tell people is that when you are processing your past stories, whether it's, unsuccessful relationship, quote unquote, which of course is never such a thing, or anything else around men.
Never such a thing as an unsuccessful relationship.
Of course.
I'm coming back to this one.
Well, here's the thing.
Going.
Just like in business, Trudy, it's never a failure. It's always a learning experience, right? It's never a failure, only feedback. And I like to say that, life is laboratory. And every
life is a lab, and we are our own experiments.
Absolutely, and every experience is an experiment.
That.
Right. So it's totally fine to experiment. And the truth is, I do work more with women who've been through relationships, and the one that are bad. And if you learn from it, it's actually a beautiful, gorgeous opportunity, even if they are in this place where they, live in a bad relationship or going through a breakup. It's such a gorgeous place to learn something very beautiful, so you don't repeat the same pattern 17 times. Because I work with women who did.
I'm one of those that has to go back and do things 2 or 3 times just to make sure it was that I did get the lesson. That it was a mistake. Anyway, sorry. Keep telling us about how this works. And sorry, I sidetracked you. I meant to go back to that.
No, absolutely. Hang on just 1 second. What you need, love? And my daughter is here. Yeah. I'm in the middle of a call, baby. Let me finish. Okay. After I finish. Sorry. Kids, they ruin everything. So, and the truth is, dealing with emotional pattern and dealing with how we view the man, whether it's trust around man or healing the old wounds or going back and addressing some of the stories that we've created or things that we've created as we were growing up about men. That's, what EFT helps, because all of a sudden you don't look at them through the lenses of past hurts, and you bring in those luggage and experience into a guy who's perfectly healthy and happy and really is a good man.
You see them as their unique individual self.
Absolutely.
Not the sum of all your past mistakes.
Yes, I'm into that. And it's like, I always tell my clients, imagine that you're looking at the world through the prism of, like, you have green glasses on, right? So everything looks green, right? You put the red glasses over. But if you take off the glasses, you actually can see world as it is. Through the tapping, through the coaching, through understanding that we are creatures of habits and we do repeat our relationship patterns, you can actually unlearn them and, create something versus repeating things by default,
Yeah.
So,
Powerful stuff. It's that whole rewriting of beliefs and releasing the pain that gets trapped in you emotionally, physically. So what's a common misconception that women have about being in a relationship, about what it means to have a successful relationship? Are you noticing any patterns that sort of come up of what women think a
yeah.
relationship should be and who's responsible for the relationship to work?
Yeah, absolutely. This is a genius question. I think we have a lot of misconception in our society about how relationship work and what does it look like. And one of the biggest things that I'm learning right now, talking about shame, is actually how to be in a healthy relationship. Because what I was able to do, I was able to get out of the bad one, kind of sort of heal myself so I can start dating and find a good one, get remarried again to the guy who is emotionally intelligent and financially intelligent and who's just a great man altogether. But what I'm starting to notice that I actually don't know how to be in a healthy relationship. Like there's this tendency to blame and to pick and poke and provoke and to pick a fight. And we had to sit down yesterday and talk. And he told me, said, Olga, do you notice that nothing bad is actually happening, but it's kind of like a part of you is almost recreating the drama that doesn't exist? And I was like, I hate you, man, but you're right. Like you told me, you're like,
Damn
totally
it,
right.
you speak the truth.
Yeah, that's the payoff of marrying an emotionally intelligent man, right? Somebody who can actually help you see
He
your
can't
pattern.
hide and he can tell you the truth.
Yeah, and I think another painful thing is that he looked at me and he told me, Olga, yesterday you were disrespectful to me. And that hurt me like hell. Like I could not hear that and say, oh, but I'm the relationship coach and I've done so much work. And he wasn't mad at me. He wasn't upset. He was just having a conversation. And it's
Respect's a big thing for men. I've been doing a lot of
absolutely
research. Men really need
right.
to feel
Yeah.
respected and the
Yeah.
hero in your story and to
Right.
feel
Yeah.
useful and valuable. And I
And I
think that's a
think
big thing that women don't
get.
get.
We want to be loved, they want to be respected, and it's a very, very true story. And it's especially becoming very clear and loud in a healthy relationship where you can see that dynamic. So to go
Yeah.
back to your question, I think one of the biggest misconceptions is that healthy marriages don't have conflict, or people never get upset at each other, or they just everything is just unicornish and pardon
Yeah.
pardon the thing, and just happy and just like totally fine.
Yep.
And the truth is, like, this is a healthy relationship. I mean, I'm happy like 80% of the time, but when things come up, what my biggest lesson right now, what I'm learning, is not run away into my cage and start licking my wounds, but actually start talking about it. Because in a
It's the
healthy
biggest
relationship,
thing, isn't it?
yeah, it's so hard.
Communication.
It's very hard to talk about it. It still hurts. And so I think that's the misconception, that in a
Yeah.
healthy relationship, everything is Cinderella-like. At the marriage, everything ends, and it's just, and the best way to explain it doesn't have to be effort none, but it will be effortless, right?
Yeah.
So it's
Yep.
not effort
I
none,
like
but it
that.
definitely effortless. So
Yeah. I read a relationship book and listened to an audio book, and it was quite profound for me this year. And there was two things that he covered in this book that really sort of stood with me. It's like when you're in a relationship, when you meet someone, you're looking at that person to help you heal your childhood wounds. And so going back and, healing your childhood wounds will help the relationship be better. And he also said, you should always look at your partner through eyes of love. You choose every day to love them. And I realized that's something that I wasn't doing. Do you do that kind of stuff with people? Is this what are your beliefs around this? Let's just
we
hand it
always
over to you. What are your
we
thoughts?
always attract partner based on our deepest unhealed wounds, right?
Yep.
And that's why I say do the best you can to heal your stuff, because you'll attract more of that in your partner. But the truth is,
Yep.
if you are on a conscious journey, then you'll attract a partner who is on a conscious journey too. So I can honestly
Yep.
tell you that both me and Ernie's presence in our life, it accelerated our healing. It helped us both
Yep.
heal faster versus doing it on themselves. And we were ready for that. We always wanted to be with a partner. And the second part of your question, I think it's a good motto to look through the eyes of love at just about anything, right? I mean, it's
Yep.
very idealistic. It's not realistic for us hashtag humans, but it's a gorgeous intention. Like, how do you see everything
Yeah.
through the eyes of love, right? So,
Yeah. And I think that was profound for me reading that, because I had a habit in the past of, it sounds terrible, vilifying my partner to make me feel better and to make
yeah.
me the good person, and not looking at them lovingly and not seeing them as an individual, which was another thing, was like looking at them and how they interacted with me and how they supported me and how they were my vision for what we should be, instead of going, well, there's an individual right in front of me, a whole person on their own. And I just, relationships, I just find all of this
Yeah.
fascinating, because I'm 45 now. I would have thought I would have sort of gotten a handle on it by
No
now.
way. You're
Maybe
45?
not.
You're not
Yeah.
45. You're
Yeah.
25.
Oh, okay. All right. We'll take 20 years off. I could do it all again with all of this knowledge. Awesome. I won't make all the mistakes, all the learning experiences. But we've got 4.5 minutes left. I've got the timer on the screen so we don't go over time. If you could give ladies, I don't know, give us your top 3 relationship tips. Is it read love languages? Is it, look at your partner through eyes of love every day? Like, what are your 3 top tips for a healthy, loving adult relationship?
Well, the first tip is very easy. Make it a priority. I think in
Yeah.
the world that I work with women entrepreneurs, that they are my clients, is that, a couple of them got a free sessions with me. We were doing this avatar interviews, and they asked me, Olga, can we work on the business? And I'm like, yes, we can, but your marriage is falling apart. Let's address that. And so
Yeah.
make it a priority. I so understand this. I've been there myself. I remember, tapping with my
It ruined my
practitioner.
relationship last year by not making it a priority. So I'm,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
totally feeling you there.
right. And she looked at me because I said, oh, no, I don't want to work on my husband's stuff. I'm just tired of him. He doesn't deserve my attention. I just want to work on this business and on
Ouch.
this money stuff. And she looked at me and she said, Olga, the only true currency is love. You can always make more money. But one day in your 40s or 50s, you'll wake up and you'll understand the only thing that you ever wanted is to connect and to give and receive love. And I'm sitting there and
Yep.
go like this, And it's
I learned that in my 40s.
yeah, it's really is that important. So you probably heard me all over the internet saying the only something is going on. I hear a little bit of feedback. Do you hear it,
Oh,
Trudy? No?
no.
Okay. And so the second thing that I wanted to mention has to do with intention, right? Creating a vision, a clear vision of what you want. And I think this is the hardest thing, and one of the things that people struggle with is getting very clear on what is that you want to create and make it
Yeah.
crystal clear, right? Non-negotiable.
Yeah.
And the second thing is that write it down in words, right? Write it down in feeling words. How do you want to feel?
Yeah.
And the last thing that I always will tell women when it comes to creating manifesting love is get a mentor. Get somebody who's been there. Don't learn from your mom or grandma or neighbor across the street who have never been in an authentic relationship. Because if you are in a picture, right? So if you're in a picture, you cannot see the picture outside. And books are great, and courses are great, and group programs are great, but you get lost in it. And sometimes those are just excuses and ways to hide versus, really
Yeah.
getting down to it and saying, you know what, I think I'm going to have an honest look of what is that going inside that I keep on trying it consciously, unconsciously, and just let it go. Because the truth is, and this is the biggest one, ladies, it's your time to grow up and be happy. Just like seriously, it's your time to grow up
Oh,
and
I'm
be happy.
totally with you there.
Yeah,
Totally with
yeah.
you there. I lost the love of my life because of, how I was showing up in the relationship last year. was not able to salvage it, and learning experiences, lessons. It was lessons that I'd rather have not had. I wish I'd have worked with you, 2 years ago, so I could be, marrying my king right now. But anyway,
It's never too
we
late,
learn.
and I don't believe in such a thing and regret. I actually don't. If it didn't happen, that it never meant to happen. It's like
Yeah.
Ernie would tell me, "Well, you and I together because it's God's will." I was like, "How do you know it's God's will?" He was like, "Well, because it's happening." I was like, "Oh, okay." So if you are not with Him, that's how it meant to be. So,
And Miriam's saying in the comments that she loves those tips.
oh, thank
So
you.
we're down to our last 42 seconds. So I guess we'll wind it up. Thank you so much, Olga. I feel inspired. I feel like I'm on the right path for my happy ever after. That's my goal. If I've got all these post-it notes on my desk about how I want my relationship to feel. So I'm on the path. I'll do a little bit more detailed work with it, and I'll do a bit more writing. I'm looking forward to your promo post tomorrow. And
Okay.
ladies, thank you for watching. And yeah, enjoy the rest of the Spotlight series. Thank you, Miriam, as
Thank
well.
you. Bye,
Thanks,
everybody.
Olga.
My pleasure. Bye,
Bye.
Trudy.